I don't drink, I don't smoke, and no, I don't want to die. This is your life, you only have one shot. So I think you own your life, you need to make the best decision for yourself. You know, usually the nurses, the company nurses, or even you go to the government clinics, they will actually ask you to start do your mammogram at age 40, your self-examination. I only did one mammogram when I was 40. I didn't go back on an annual basis, but I do self-examination at home. At that time, I still remember it's very near Chinese New Year. Then I noticed a lump on my upper right chest. So I thought, yeah, maybe it's just hormone, you know, after my period it will go away. After 2 periods, it's still there and it's a bit hard. So I felt a bit uneasy. So I told myself, hey, after Chinese New Year, I probably should go and have it checked out. And plus that time I was doing some business travels also. I keep telling myself that no, it cannot be. It never came to my mind that if it would be cancer actually. Because I have led a pretty healthy lifestyle, so I kind of dragged about 3 months before I actually decide to go seek out medical help. I actually consulted a few friends, like, hey, I have this, who should I be talking to? So, and also a little bit of research on the internet says that I should be looking at breast surgeon. So I just called up a breast surgeon that one of my friends recommended, basically. On the first appointment, we did an ultrasound. You can see a lump there. She suggested a biopsy. And then 1 week later, I got the results that it's actually carcinoma. The CT scan was ordered on that day, the usual go-to scanning to confirm whether it has spread or it's just a carcinoma inside too. The doctor actually found something on my collarbone, a spot on my collarbone. That breast surgeon immediately concluded that it is stage 4. That means the cancer has spread. It has went to metastasis, and therefore she immediately prescribed, you know, stage 4 treatment, like, hey, you need to come back on Monday to do your 16th cycle of chemo and then radio and then surgery, which is gonna last for about half a year. I was in shock because I know what stage 4 means. My husband isn't very medically savvy at first. So to him, what is stage 4 and stage 1, he doesn't really know. So what happened is that when we went back to the car, I asked him, does he know what stage 4 means? And then I explained to him. We both cried in the car. So he was in shock. So it's not like, why, you know, why me, why us? And we were also talking about, hey, cannot be, you exercise, you eat well, I don't drink, I don't smoke. So basically the 9 or 10 criteria of trying to live a good life and be cancer-free, right? I met maybe all of them. I think the initial trauma was like, I cannot believe it. My brain is probably trying to block it out. But I think after that, I called my friend. She's a doctor actually. Told her about what happened to me, and I kind of asked her like, what should I do now? And she said, you go see this breast surgeon. 7 in the morning, I was dragged into the hospital. I know I don't have an appointment. She just dragged me in there. I must say I was a little bit conflicted. I was also thinking to myself, how is it going to be different? Because I'm due to go back to the private hospital to so-called start my chemo journey immediately because of the stage 4 diagnosis. I'm actually very thankful that she actually dragged me literally over the phone to go see the other surgeon. Because that surgeon, he told me that after looking at my lab reports and also my CT scan, he said, no, I don't think this is a stage 4. But of course, to rule that out, then we have to do more tests. So I did a PET CT scan and another bone imaging just to rule out the little patch on my collarbone is not cancerous and to rule out the possibility of it spreading to anywhere else. And of course, they did a little bit of tests. So I removed some of my lymph nodes just to make sure that the cell didn't spread through the lymph nodes and to any other places within my body. And then with that confirmation, chemotherapy became optional. Fortunately, because of that second opinion, we are able to rule out that no, this cannot be cancerous. Stage 4 and Stage 1 treatment options are very, very different, because Stage 4 means that the cancer has already spread. It's probably somewhere else in your body, in your bone or something. So because it's Stage 4, right, the first diagnosis, so the purpose of treatment options is first to minimize the spread of the cancer, to contain it, then only remove it. The treatment that was prescribed to me during that time is to first go through a 6-month cycle of chemo. After that, probably followed with a CT scan to make sure that it has shrunk or disappeared, and then radiotherapy. I think it's another 16 session or 30 session, I forgot. And then only the surgery will kick in to remove. So the assumption is that it has went through my lymph nodes and then through the bones and maybe other organs as well. So compared to a Stage 1, which I eventually went through with the second opinion, it was surgery. That confirmation, chemotherapy became optional. Stage 1's purpose is to remove and eradicate. Then the world changed again. It reverted back to Stage 1. Okay, Stage 4 is very bad. Stage 1 is, I think I can manage. That's how the journey begins. I was diagnosed in March 2019 with Stage 1 breast cancer. At that point, I was 42, 43. I just remembering thinking that no, it cannot be true, and no, I don't want to die. So I will do everything I can to make sure I survive. At that point in time after the surgery, I just started asking around again, right? Because I know I have to go through an oncologist, so I started asking around who are the better oncologists around. I got a few names. And then I also started reading up 2 main factors that drive that decision. It is important to have your doctor team up together to take care of you. So your breast surgeon should be talking to your onco and your gynae if possible, because these are the 3 doctors that will be taking care of you throughout these 9 months. ER/PR positive breast cancer is actually a hormone breast cancer that I was diagnosed with. Because for breast cancer, in my opinion, it's not only pertaining to your breast, especially like in my case, which is a hormone-based breast cancer. It has your chemotherapy and your subsequent long-term medication has side effects or implication to your reproductive systems. There are risks, there are side effects, there are impacts that will impact your reproductive system. One doctor might be able to tell you what is only pertaining to their specialty. Then you want to talk to your gynae, right? But if you don't know enough, and you don't know to ask about your gynae, and your doctors don't talk to each other, the doctor doesn't know what to look out for you. So that was one. There are also a couple of oncologists. What I did is then I started reading up on their background, because I want him, he needs to take care of me. I think he needs to take care of me for the rest of my 5 years as well, my journey. So that actually helped me make that decision actually. To me, the chemistry with the doctor, if you ask me, right, the comfort level that you have with the doctor is also very important. I feel that that doctor genuinely cared about my well-being. I'm a patient. I'm not a commodity. That's how I feel. I say this as a post-thought because during MCO, I actually had to go to another oncologist just for my follow-up. I have to tell you, I really don't like that visit. I don't feel connected, or I don't feel that the doctor actually cared about. But I think as a patient, there are a few things that we need to do also. You need to do your homework. You should trust your doctor, but you should also do your homework. Go to trusted sources. I spend a lot of time online. Of course, a lot of doctors don't like that because they'll tell you, oh, don't ask Dr. Google. I don't ask Dr. Google. You go to reputable sites like Breast Cancer Association. They'll share with you what to expect pre-op, post-op, recovery process, all the side effects and whatnot. So do your own homework. At that point in time, there isn't a lot of resources, to be very frank, locally. So of course now we have tophealthasia.com with I also went through some of the videos. It's very interesting short clips to give you exactly what you need to know to deal with all these conditions. I spent quite a bit of time going through all this just to arm myself and so I can ask questions for confirmation. When the doctor tell me I need to do this, then I will ask, like, is it true that when I do this, I will get this? You don't want to just be receiving whatever the doctor just tell you and without knowing what it does for you. I don't think any patient should be following blindly. They should know. Even if you don't know where to find answers, right, you should ask your doctor, what does it mean? What does it do for me? If there is any side effects. I realize a lot of doctors don't tell you about side effects. They just brush it aside. And I can understand, because if you start exploring side effects, right, it can be like a truckload of side effects, right? But some people don't experience, some people experience. So on side effects, it's good to know, but it doesn't mean that it always comes. But if you have that knowledge, when it comes, you know how to deal with it, basically. So you are ready. I do understand the high regards that you have for a specialist. I do have high regard for my doctors. But I think it's still, as a patient, you have your own rights, right? To know what is happening to you, to know what is going to be done, because you are the one that's taking the surgery. You are the one that's allowing the chemical to be injected into your body. You are the one that is going to have that radiotherapy onto yourself. I think at the bare minimum, you should have the right to know. So if you're at any point uncertain, just tell the doctor, I need to know more. Just ask that question, I'm not comfortable. I need to know a little bit more. I need to understand. Just talk to them. If I could and if I would, I probably would talk to six other specialists, which I did for another issue. Because after this experience, I totally understood how radically it would be different, how radically different it would be to have another opinion or to have another specialist to give you different guidance. I know sometimes people think that it's conflict, but this is your life. You only have one shot. So I think you own your life. You need to make the best decision for yourself.